Hello, hello. We're here live tonight with Wyndi from season 4 of DWSC. Wyndi, how you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I when I played season 4, I was living in North Carolina and a cosmetologist and working in dual fields, and now I'm in Illinois and I'm a clinical therapist.
All right. Well, tell us about how you first heard about DWSC, and when you heard about it, what made you say, "Oh, this is something I might want to do"?
I was applying for Survivor and CBS, and it just the timing never worked out when I got the callbacks. And I did Sandra's hair. So back then in North Carolina, we lived in the same place, and occasionally we'd end up at the same gym. And so she told me about it because she's experienced it, and she's like, "Wendy, you'd be great." So that's how it started.
Celebrity intro, pretty cool.
Yeah. And I did
So,
her hair for the finales for the queen, her second ones. But she couldn't give me a shout out because, infringements or something. I don't know.
sure. So you put your name in the hat, you get selected. Anything you remember in that time period between then and when the game actually begun? Any fun stories or interesting things happened?
Well, when I got picked up by Chuck, he gave me a little tour and we went by and he's like, "You need to get some food before you don't have any." And we got the lobster roll or something from some well-known place around there. When he gave me a little tour along the way. And then suddenly when we arrive, it's rush, 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 rush.
Yeah, that's typically how it goes, right? Once you get to the field, everything changes. So tell us about
Yeah.
that when you get dropped off. What's your first impressions?
Well, I was so focused on making sure I did all the right things. Like, am I supposed to have this? Am I supposed to have that? And so I'm like, I don't know. Do we just, and everything was really smooth, but I was overthinking in my head because I didn't want to do anything that caused a problem for my game.
Take us back to 2016 and what you remember of season 4 and favorite memories, favorite challenges, things that really stuck with you.
Well, I'm not going to say who, but in that time, as I was so prepared, I struggled with sleep and I would keep everybody warm and everything. There was a person who didn't bring a blanket, and this person was laying on the ground shivering. And so, because I couldn't sleep, I just gave up my blanket and my warmth and just stayed cold. Well, the next morning, I found out that he had been drinking for 3 weeks. So he was shaking for not having that. And he wasn't prepared. I was like, gosh, I can't even take care of my own self in this game.
So after your season, anything you brought out of that, anything you learned about yourself, any connections that you made that lasted?
I remember when I was voted off and the person whisked me away in that Polaris without a windshield, I felt like I was teleported to the wherever I went. And it all went so, so fast when you exit. And I remember having all these bruises and feeling pained and just all the shoulda, woulda, coulda. And then I woke up in the morning and there were people everywhere. And then I get up and I start covering people up. It's, the thing. And all the bruises were gone. What I was stuck with is that I was in the game and I was still, it's my nature to nurture. And so I was taking care of others and allowing others to use my strengths. So that's something I learned that I need to even do that in life is
Mhm.
I can be first. And this is a game and I can be first too.
All right. I don't know if you have the countdown going, but I do. It's 68 days till we're all together
Woohoo!
out in Macomb. What's going
Yeah.
through your head as that ticker gets closer and closer?
I'm not one to really think about that too much because as I said the first time, I was overthinking everything. So I kind of want to go in with an open mind and just adapt as I go, having a little bit of plan ahead, because I know it's not new. And so I don't know. I don't want to overthink it. I'm not sitting around and counting down the days, oh my gosh, or even excitement. Because in life, I don't do that. Because if you do that, then you either are let down or something happens and it interferes with what your expectations. So I want to go and experience it in its presence.
Okay. Any particular challenges you played in season 4 that you think, wow, I'd love we could do that again, or something else that you've seen on Survivor that you thought, someday I'd love to give that a try?
I thought one of the great ones when we did the water and then the puzzle and put the thing together. And I don't know if you remember, but we were didn't even have to go through this one obstacle. And we went around it, through it extra. We went extra, and we still won that challenge. But we put it together. You're like, you didn't have to go through that one. So as a team, though, we really worked well, and so that was a cool thing. Um, there were the puzzle ones I didn't get to actually participate in as much as root them on. That one with the dominoes was really cool. Um, Things like that.
All right. One bonus question for you. As you think about, you've already talked about this a little bit, but now I'm going to ask you, as you're thinking about yourself entering unfinished business, give me one word without an explanation of how you see yourself approaching the game.
Hmm. One word. The word self keeps coming to mind.
Hello, we're here with Ryan Kaiser from season 4 of DWSC, and Taylor co-hosting, and as always, adding some flair to my somewhat dull conversation style. So thank you, Taylor. So Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Ryan Kaiser. I'm currently 33, living. Is that 33? Yeah, I am. I just turned 33 last week. So wait, am I 33? I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I am the winner of Survival Challenge 2016, which is a whopping almost 9 years ago. So I was 24 when I played last time. So I'm physically waiting to see what my body can do. I know almost a decade later in this thing, and a day longer, and if I get there.
Well, let's take it back to 2016, Ryan. How did you hear about DWSC Survival Challenge, and what were your initial thoughts that said, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna sign up and do that.
Yeah, so how I originally heard about Time Durham Warrior Survival Challenge was I used to do like a lot of orgs, like online Survivor games through like high school, college. I was probably in one like almost like every month. It was like this crazy hobby of mine. And I knew from there I kind of had made some like friends. It became like online friends into like, just real life friends or like via Facebook. Um, so I had two friends, Chris and Steve, who had played in Survival Challenge season. Well, Steve played in season 1 and 2, and Chris played in season 3. And I saw like seen a bunch of cool photos and stuff like that from the event, and I was like, well, I'm always like kicking their ass in orgs, so like maybe I should like go do this, and if they can do it, like surely I can. And then it kind of the rest of the history. For that, I applied in 2016. I got accepted and put on to season 4, and it's been a wild ride since then. I never thought like sort of like playing this sort of. I thought it'd be like a fun little weekend thing. I go do one time, make some friends, blah blah blah. But it's kind of crazy like the trajectory my life kind of took after that whole experience and everything.
Tell us about the time between when you got accepted into the cast for season 4 and when you hit the field in Maine. Any stories you remember about anything you did to prepare, or fun travel stories, or anything like that?
Yeah, so the time in between when I was applied and got accepted and I was playing, I think it was like 4 months in between or so. Um, I really didn't do that much. I was in like decent shape. I kind of like, I mean, I knew like the show like the back of my hand. So I'm like, I think I'm like good prep wise. The one thing I did was like maybe I cut drinking coffee like a month out to kind of like not have caffeine withdrawal during the game. That'd be awful. But as far as like, there's some funny stories just with having to like think through all like the prep things as far as like what to bring, especially like what to wear. I knew we'd be like in the water, probably having like some either swimming or we were by like a lake or just maybe it'd be rainy. Um, so I was looking for like a lot of like waterproof or like water wicking like clothing, underwear, pants, everything. And pretty much like that entire like 4 or 5 months leading up to the game and like shortly after, I was like my phone, I think thought I was like incontinent because it was like constantly giving me ads for like adult diapers, like waterproof pants, waterproof underwear. I'm like, oh my God, I know how to pee. I know how to pee process. I was looking for like things to go like camping with so I wouldn't be soaking wet. So that's probably just like a weird little thing, like, I think about. It's just kind of like, the whole phone Big Brother thing. It's like, oh yeah, thinks I just, have bladder issues. So that was kind of funny.
They weren't on the allowed items list anyway, so it wouldn't have been mattered, right?
Right.
Skated. All right, so you've landed in Maine. Like, paint the scene for us. What was going through your mind? What were your initial thoughts? Just what was going through yeah. Give us a breakdown.
Yeah, so what was going through my head during that kind of initial just arrival in Maine? I was young. I was like only like 2 years out of college. I had never traveled alone, flown alone. So like me getting on a plane in the like middle of Illinois, flying out to Maine to like just meet in the woods with a bunch of strangers. I mean, I wasn't like nervous, but like I didn't really tell people that I was doing this. I'm like, it sounds really weird on paper. Like, oh, I'm going to play Survivor in the woods with people I never met. So just like I was kind of just like nervous, like nothing would happen to me and have me become like some story people would tell. But whenever I like got my car, it was like driving from the airport area to like Bob's property in Maine. It was like just an area I'd never been before. Just as far as like lots of like trees, woods. Like in Illinois, it's just very flat, open like cornfields basically. So that was kind of weird, just like driving like through kind of like just some wild roads. And then we pull up to Bob's house, and there's the kind of like it's almost like a Secret Service shuffle. They would kind of like meet you in your car and kind of just like shuffle you in, have you go park a certain way. If you're being dropped off, go here. There's always one memory that I have like sticking out as far as like when I got in my car. The first person I saw was like this woman with like flowing poofy hair, like very like New Jersey housewife kind of vibe. It ended up being like Maria, who I worked actually really closely in the game with, but it was just like, oh my God, they really got people from like all walks of life here because we have like a New Jersey housewife rolling up and like her that's glammed out. Like, I'm like, is she ready for this? So just kind of like it was just a very bizarre experience, just kind of like trying to put together like everything visually at the same time, like knowing like in 10 minutes I'm gonna be God knows where doing, who knows what. Cause I knew there'd always be kind of like a event to start the game, whether it be like with people, with not with people. So I was just like, it was just like sensory overload in the sense of just like there was so much going on. And I'm just like, I don't know, just throw me somewhere and tell me to play, and like then I'll be good to go. But like right now, it's just like really wild.
So all of that happens. You go through season 4. Share some favorite memories from season 4, challenges or other memories.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's funny. I have so many memories from my season. I wrote a blog right after I was done, which to kind of almost like for me just to kind of like journal everything so I would never forget it. But I swear I could probably still tell you like word for word, like hour by hour play. It just like was so ingrained in my brain at this point. There was definitely some funny moments. I think one of my favorite challenges was one they had done on Survivor Exile Island. It was like a fish toss. Basically, we had to like toss like these probably I don't know like over a foot long like 10 pound I don't know fish. We had to like toss those from like probably like 10 feet away from each other around the circle to get back to like the bucket where they would be placed. And it was like the funniest thing because I'm just like other games now that exist kind of have like puzzles, obstacle courses, running, swimming, whatever. But like what game would you play that the challenge in the game is throwing dead fish at each other and hoping to like score points by getting the fish all the way to the end of the thing? And I actually use like my shirt. I'm like thinking I'm smart. Like, I'm gonna use like my shirt as like a little basket to kind of like catch them in. And that was great because it worked for the challenge. But then afterward, I reeked of fish, and I could not get like this shirt. I played with Twyla Tanner from Survivor Vanuatu. She's in my season, and she's like, Ryan, you smell like shit. I'm like, it's the fish. It's not me. It's the dead. It's the literal dead fish on my shirt. Um, that was fun. I actually really enjoyed. So we got to play with a couple survivors, and Twyla from Vanuatu and Spencer from Cagayan and Cambodia were on my tribe initially. And there was like Twyla was like my favorite person I think just spending time with out there because like it is someone who like I don't have anybody. I mean, there's no one like Twyla, but like there's no one I have in my life that's even like remotely like Twyla. So I was like she called me like her little wood buddy. Just we always kind of go like off in the woods and just like chit chatter and talk shit. It just like little moments like that were always kind of fun. Just like it really felt cool just like living my at that point I had been watching the show for 16 years since I was like 8 years old. I'm like it really felt like such an authentic cool thing. that I was like, oh my God, like I am not on the beach. It's like very far away from the beach. But like it was just like I really felt like I was like on a TV show on Survivor, like living out my, nerd fantasy. Trying to think of other like fun little then I spent the night with Jason from Survivor Co. Wrong and Matt from Karamoan. And those two, I swear they were almost like brothers, but just like the things they would just do all night to keep us up. Um, we had to keep the fire going, and it just like everything was just like such a spectacle. Like there was never kind of just like a dull, like chill moment. It's just always something was just like happening in the like to my right or to my left. So it's like lots to like keep up with, but it was like I just kind of like to soak in every moment because I'm like I know I'll never get to do this again until now.
Well, are there any particular challenges you're hoping to see or play this go around?
Yeah, any challenge I'd like to see back. I would love the gag of like the dead fish thing, but I'm sure that's probably off the list just for the logistics of that and like the smell. I actually really like the challenge. Like the big like the cart puzzle. I'm like hoping that's gonna like be something I was good at that one. But it's like that felt like such a cool like survival challenge or survivor challenge because it was like assemble this cart, go here, there, get puzzle pieces, bring it back, like deassemble the cart. We had to go through water, through mud. It just like from beginning to end, it felt like they're just like a really like classic like epic survivor challenge. Um, I'm not looking forward to the gross food ones. I know there will be one, I'm sure. So on my season, I kind of just got to like sidestep that because it's an individual immunity challenge. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna win this anyway because Spencer can probably eat God knows what. So I'm gonna like just put my cup down and be like, I'm out. So I'm not looking forward to like anything like that. And I'm sure I'll have to suck it up and do it. I actually am really looking forward to. So I wasn't able to really swim in Maine, and like I like swimming. So I think I'll be hopefully excited like playing some challenges within the water in Macomb. I think what I like the challenge where we like there someone has to like hold the ropes and like toss wood into it. I would not be the rope holder, but I think it's just kind of a cool challenge to kind of see and like watch visually and probably have to run and participate in. But I don't know, that's the cool thing. I think survival challenge, one of its like biggest draws, I think it's just like the grand scale of a lot of these challenges. So I'm just like really, I'm up for anything. Like give me a puzzle and I'm good for it.
So tell us now that we're 9 years past season 4 and we're only 60 some days out from season 12, where is your mind right now as we're getting closer?
Yeah, my mind right now is we get like, within that 60-day window. It's funny because like it truly almost doesn't feel real. Like it's just survival challenge has been such a big part of my life and it's like with the friends I made, um, different experiences that I've had, like just, visiting people, friends, or like going to like different like survivor events. It just like I never really considered I maybe thought that there would one day be like another like a returnee season, but I just never really was 100% sure like what it would look like. Would even like someone who won the game even be able to participate in that? Um, so honestly, it really hasn't even like physically set in yet that like I'm going to be on that field playing Survivor, hopefully not getting voted out first, in just like two and a half months or so. But yeah, I think as far as like as far as like prep wise, like I know what to do. I did it before, so I don't like think I'm going to do anything different like prep wise. Maybe just a little bit more like exercising, because I am like almost a decade older. Um, but yeah, it's like I think when I will say I have had some like dreams just kind of like out there and like all dreams slash nightmares of like being voted out or like seeing people that like I'm like friends with that like try to like cut me or something like that. So there's been some like funny dreams that I've been having. Just like I wake up and just like that would never happen, but like it's just funny. There was one that I think like John, I think you announced your retirement like midway through the game and just like left, and I'm like, what? And I was just like, that wouldn't be a thing, but just like it's funny like what your brain just like comes up with just like random things as you're sleeping. But so I'm like, I'm not really thinking about it that much, but at the same time, like I guess I subconsciously am very aware that this is happening. Um, yeah, I'm just excited. I'm kind of excited to see. The survival challenge even has kind of evolved as like the show has too. So just it's kind of just cool to be like a part of that history, and like that's why I wanted to be a part of the season too, is just to like be able to like celebrate that anniversary of survival challenge.
Well, a bonus question for you real quickly as we wrap up, because I feel like throughout all your answers, you've given us a lot of your takeaways and just what you've learned about yourself. So I know that's a question, but you really have shared a lot about your growth from your season. But a bonus question, if you had to describe how you're going to tackle this unfinished business season with one word, no explanation, what would it be?
One word to tackle survival challenge unfinished business.
With no explanation.
Let's see. The word would be enthusiasm.